Hello everybody and welcome back to Dollar Tree Dinners. As you can see beside me, I have purchased the ingredients to make this year's $20 Dollar Tree Easter dinner. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been wondering, like, where are the holiday meals going to fit into this 5-day-a-week schedule? And the answer is wherever I decide to put them. They don't really fit into any of the daily themes, so they're just gonna have to serve as a replacement here and there for a video. And today we are working on our Easter dinner for this year. Last week I did something kind of Easter inspired, but it was not my official Dollar Tree Easter dinner, of course. That was mostly if you have a $10 budget and you want to put together something special for Easter, here is a dinner idea that might work. But with $20, we can do a lot more. I have been getting some comments about Dollar Tree's price increase. As far as I'm aware, I'm not affiliated with Dollar Tree in any way, so I don't have any like official news about their prices. But from what I've been reading, some items will be going up to $1.75. If you walk around the store right now, you already see $1.50, $2.25, $3, $4, $5. But one thing to notice as you're walking around the store is how many items have the price directly printed on the label. As far as I'm aware, all of those items that are currently $1.25 are going to stay $1.25, and we even have items that are $1.75. So we will see some price increases on certain items. We've seen some decreases on other items. I think it'll kind of balance out, but only time will tell. But as of today, in April 2025, Dollar Tree is still $1.25. So here is what I was able to get for $20 for Easter dinner this year. Now, normally I would say something to the degree of at $1.25 an item, you can get 16 items for $20 from Dollar Tree. But again, we have some variance in price here. So I'm going to take out the couple of items that are not $1.25 and let's go over this list first. So these were all $1.25 a piece. So we've got a can of pineapple slices, a can of cream of mushroom soup, some garlic and herb biscuit mix. This is a knockoff of the Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits, deluxe mac and cheese, panko breadcrumbs, good old Imperial. This is margarine for anybody who doesn't know. 2 bags of sugar cookie mix, a can of cherry pie filling. I've got 2 packages of smoked deli ham, and I have some milk. So that was 13 items at $1.25 a piece, which is $16.25. Scooch those out of the way. Scalloped potatoes. This was $1.50, so it was the most expensive item that I bought, but we offset the cost of this more expensive item by getting 2 cans of vegetables that are only 75 cents a can. And I got green beans to make the very traditional green bean casserole. So then if you take that $16.25 and you add in $1.50 for the scalloped potatoes and 75 cents a can for the green beans, that brings our grand total to $19.25 for our Easter dinner this year. So we're actually 75 cents under budget, so you could add in another can of vegetables if you wanted to. So we're actually under budget this year for Easter dinner, and I think I have a really fun one planned. The theme that I kind of went with this year was abundance. I wanted a lot of variety, a lot of choices. And this might sound a little strange, but I shopped strategically because I wanted this spread to have a variety of colors in it. I was watching back some of my old holiday dinners, and especially with Easter, we've got potatoes and carrots and deviled eggs. There's a lot of yellow and a lot of orange. And I wanted there to be some green and some red, hence the cherry pie filling and the green bean casserole. So that was kind of why I picked a couple of the items that I picked, but we actually have a relatively simple meal to prepare. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We have to start with dessert because that's gonna take the longest, as it usually does. Oh, one other thing that I want to do before I get started is grab all of my ingredients that require the margarine and set aside the margarine that I need for each of those ingredients, so that I know how much I have to kind of play around with, I guess you could say. This little box only comes with 2 sticks, so we gotta be a little strategic here. So for the cookie dough, I need 3 tablespoons for each. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because I've got 2 of those. Cookie dough, sorted. I only need 1 tablespoon for the scalloped potatoes, and I need a 1/4 cup for the biscuit mix. So 4 tablespoons. So once that is all set aside, that leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tablespoons of butter for anything else that I might need it for. I feel like I'm always experimenting with the desserts, but for this one, I went with one that I already have down. We are sort of repeating the dessert that I made at Thanksgiving time, but the fixed version of it. I did 1 packet of sugar cookie mix, a can of apple pie filling, and some caramel, and I said that I wished I had done 2 bags of sugar cookie mix. So we're gonna make the cherry pie version of that same dessert, which I feel like is really suiting for Easter, whereas the apple pie is a little bit more suiting for Thanksgiving. Plus, these cherry pie bars are absolutely stunning. So I think you're really gonna enjoy this recipe, and it's very, very simple to make. So grab yourself a pot on the stove, and you're gonna dump in a can of fruit pie filling. If you have one already, feel free to use what you've got. Dollar Tree sells cherry and they sell apple, so I'm using cherry today. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna heat this pie filling up over medium heat, and I'm gonna go ahead and mash all of the fruit. I'm just using a potato masher, but you can also use a fork or a spoon or anything that you have. The goal is to reduce this pie filling down to make a really thick, almost like a jam. And in that regard, you could also use strawberry or raspberry preserves from Dollar Tree if you're not a fan of cherry. So we've mashed our fruit, and as you can see, it's kind of starting to bubble and boil. And we're gonna let this just simmer until it's really sticky and thick. This does require a little bit of patience. You do want this to be ultra, ultra thick so that it doesn't weigh down our cookie bars. So once our pie filling is really thick and reduced down, you can see I can scoop it and really see how thick that is. We're gonna set that aside and let it cool while we begin to work on the cookie dough portion. 2 packets of sugar cookie mix. Because we're making bars and not actual cookies, it doesn't really matter if your butter or margarine is softened or completely melted. So that was 6 tablespoons of margarine and 2 tablespoons of water. Just the package instructions on the mix, doubled since we have 2 bags. Give that all a mix to combine. Go ahead and grab yourself a baking dish. I am using a rectangular one. Ideally, I would be using a square, but this is what I have, so this is what I'm gonna use. And I'm gonna take some of my extra play margarine. And I'm gonna grease the bottom of this really well. We're gonna try to save a couple of spoonfuls of our cookie dough mix for the topping. So we can put in about 1/2 or 3/4 of the mix into our baking dish and spread that out on the bottom. That looks pretty good. Let's pop this into a 350-degree oven for about 18 to 20 minutes to start baking it. So that's our cookie base after it is par baked in the oven. Par baked meaning partially baked. It's not cooked all the way through. You can see it's brown around the edges. Now we're gonna add on our thickened cherry pie filling. And spread it out all the way to the edges. Now we reserved some of our sugar cookie mix, so now we're gonna add little dollops of that over the top. Just little spoonfuls. I like to leave a little bit of that cherry filling kind of peeking out around the edges too. I just think it looks cute whenever it bakes because it'll have like basically a little crackle effect, little pops of red kind of peeking through the top. And then that is going to go back in the oven for another 30 to 35 minutes until the tops of these are starting to brown. I'm going to wash the pot that I used for the cherry pie filling, and then we're going to get started on the main dish. We're going to have a little bit of fun with this. Because if you guys remember, in my last video, I was talking about how, I wanted to do an Easter dinner this year from Dollar Tree, but I've done the ham roses a few times, and I don't want to do the ham roses again. So we're gonna do a little experiment and just see how it works out. So I had to get a little creative, and I think I've come up with a fun but practical solution to the deli ham dilemma. And this is where that canned pineapple is gonna come into play. And some of our fun margarine. I'm calling it fun margarine because it's the margarine that is not, it's the margarine that's not reserved for some of our prepared ingredients. It's the stuff that we kind of have to play around with. So we're gonna take the juice from our canned pineapple slices. Try to get all of that juice out of there. These are packed in light syrup, not actual juice, but it's fine. All of the fruit that I buy at Dollar Tree is packed in some kind of a syrup. I very rarely find fruit packed in juice. So I'm gonna heat that up over medium-high heat and get it boiling. And just like with the cherry pie filling, I'm just gonna let that kind of reduce down at least by half, which probably isn't gonna take very long because it's not a ton of liquid in there. I think we're almost there. So I've reduced it down to, let's see if I can show you. That's about half a cup. See if we can get it a little bit further. Cautiously. I think we've pushed it about as far as we can. So those bubbles die down. We've got a really caramel colored syrup. And while it's still hot, I'm gonna add in some margarine. And mix that in to take our syrup and hopefully make it into a nice, rich, buttery glaze. So what I'm kind of envisioning are these slices of pineapple cut in half lengthwise and then stuffed into a little pocket of ham. So there are our pineapple slices, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 20. So it looks like there was 10 slices of ham in that can. Did I just say slices of ham? I meant to say slices of pineapple. Now we get to see how much ham we have. And I did smoked ham so that we get a bit of like a sweet and savory element. They also have honey ham, so feel free to use that. I just knew that we would have a lot of sweetness with the pineapple and was trying to balance that by getting a more savory ham. Last time I was at Dollar Tree, I saw these big 10-ounce packs of deli turkey, and I'm hoping that they get something similar with ham in the coming months. But for now, we just have these little 4-ounce packs to work with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slices. So there's 24 slices of ham in here. I don't want to do one slice of ham around a pineapple half, but I think we'll do 2. How's that gonna look? If I do two slices of ham and a little pineapple kind of pocketed in there, I think that'll be good. Let's repeat that. I don't really have any intended use for these leftover pineapple other than snacks, I guess. But there are all of our little ham stuffed pineapple slices. I was kind of trying to replicate the appearance of a carved ham. I thought that this was like a really good middle ground. Plus you'll get a little bit of pineapple in every bite. And there are 12 of these. So to feed 4 people, that would be 3 per person. The pineapple, I think, just kind of makes it more substantial. And now I'm just going to layer them in a baking dish. It doesn't have to be perfect here, so I was able to fit all 12 in that dish. And I'm going to drizzle my pineapple mixture over top. Get a nice even coating on all of that. But there is our main course. And at this point, my cookie bars look done. So I'm gonna take those out and set them aside to cool completely. So at this point, our dessert is prepped and our main course is ready to go in the oven. The rest of this should come together really easily. Next, I'm gonna work on the scalloped potatoes, and I'm going to cook them on the stovetop instead of directly in the oven. I just think that they cook up better on the stovetop than they do in the oven. The oven directions, I feel like, always take way longer than the box says it does. So I think it's better just to cook them on the stovetop and then transfer them to the oven for browning. Okay, so 1 tablespoon of margarine, 3/4 cup of milk, 1 1/2 cups of water, our scalloped potatoes, and our sauce mix. It says to bring this up to a boil and then simmer these for 15 minutes. I did the scalloped potatoes. If you want to know the difference between scalloped potatoes and potatoes au gratin, scalloped potatoes are usually just potatoes in a cream sauce, whereas au gratin are potatoes in a cheese sauce. Starting to boil, let's lower it to a simmer. While that simmers, we can prep our green bean casserole, because this is going to come together really quickly as well. I'm going to toss those in a bowl. Oops, lose a couple, my bad. Well, that second can has a lot of stems in it, looks like. I'll try to get some of those strings and stems. We don't want any of the crummy bits. The first can looked perfect. Second can, not so much. So there could be a degree of variance in these little 75-cent cans of green beans. I'm gonna add in a cream of mushroom. I'm gonna give this a dash of salt and pepper, and that will make sense when we get to the topping, because I was not able to get fried onions at Dollar Tree this time. So we're gonna try a topping alternative. But because we don't have the onion portion of it, I'm gonna add some extra seasoning into the casserole base itself. Love me some canned green beans with salt and pepper though, so you won't see me complaining. All right, I'm down to my last baking dish, and it is my largest baking dish. So I made myself a little foil divider so that I can bake the green beans and the potatoes in the same dish. Gonna do, you guys can't even really see that. I should have put that towards you. Gonna do the green beans on half. And for our topping, I'm gonna do some panko. That'll give us a little bit of that crunch that's iconic to green bean casserole. So I'm gonna toss the panko in about a tablespoon of melted margarine so that it can brown up. And that will be our substitute for the fried onions. So let's distribute that over top. If you have some Parmesan cheese in your pantry, feel free to add some of that in too. Panko and Parmesan with a little melted butter and margarine makes a really great topping for a lot of things.
And in the other half of this baking dish is gonna go our scalloped potatoes, which I only simmered these for about 10 minutes because it'll finish cooking in the oven. So I thought that was a good way to do it. Kind of half oven, half stovetop. And then that is now ready for the oven. We're still not putting it in the oven yet because the last thing that needs to be baked is our cheddar garlic biscuit mix. We're prepping everything so that it can all bake at the same time. Which, before we prep our biscuits, we need to grate our cheese. I am absolutely just kind of befuddled with how well this Easter dinner is going. I feel like it's hopefully going to be the best one that I've ever made. So our packet of biscuit mix. So the biscuit mix calls for water, but we have milk, so we can use 3/4 of a cup of cold milk instead for extra richness. And then we can add in our half cup of cheese and give those a mix. How many is this supposed to make? 8. I don't think it's gonna make 8. I think it's gonna make closer to 6. As you can see, I have not used all my cheese. That is strategic. Oh boy, we're getting to the end here. I'm starting to every time I get to the end of these, I start to feel the rush setting in. All right, let's scoop out our biscuits, see how many we actually get. Oven's preheated. I did 425 because that's what the biscuits call for. Well, I do actually think that this makes 8, which means I need to grab a larger sheet pan. Hold on. I'm always impressed when the servings on a package are actually accurate. I think we're about ready to start putting things in the oven. This last little bit of cheese I think would be nice to sprinkle on top of our scalloped potatoes. Biscuit mix says to bake 14 to 16 minutes. Thinking that these are gonna take closer to 30 minutes, so let's start with this in the oven, 30 minutes. Go ahead and set myself a 15-minute timer to begin with. For my pineapple stuffed ham, I am going to cover that with some foil before baking it. And that is going to go in the oven alongside the potatoes and the green bean casserole. The potatoes and green bean casserole and the ham have both been in the oven for about 15 minutes. So I'm gonna let them sit for another 15 minutes while we bake our biscuits. So 30 minutes total on both of those and 15 minutes on the biscuits. And when everything has 10 minutes left, that's when we're gonna boil our pasta. Got our deluxe mac and cheese. And transfer that into a little dish for serving. And there are biscuits out of the oven. And I melted those couple of tablespoons of margarine and added the seasoning pack to it. Now we're gonna drizzle the tops of those. It says to brush. I don't have a brush, so drizzle will do just fine. I'll just pile those onto something for serving. There are our scalloped potatoes and green bean casserole. And there is the pineapple stuffed ham slices. And that is my 2025 Dollar Tree Easter dinner. We've got cheddar garlic biscuits, green bean casserole, scalloped potatoes, pineapple stuffed ham slices, macaroni and cheese, and cherry pie cookie bars. I think it's pretty safe to say that this is probably my best Easter dinner that I've made yet. Now, you guys know I always advertise my holiday dinners as to feed 4 people. I don't like to try to say that you can divide like a single box of macaroni and cheese between 5 or 6 people. Same thing with the scalloped potatoes. I would much rather underestimate than overestimate, and I would much rather you have leftovers than not enough food. So let's fix ourselves a plate. We're gonna grab one of our cheddar garlic biscuits, some mac and cheese. Let's grab a spoonful of our scalloped potatoes. I do think stovetop to oven is the way to go for these. Look how beautiful that is. Scoop of our green bean casserole, one of my favorite holiday sides. And again, because we have 12 of these little pineapple stuffed hams, that means that each person gets 3 of them. And would you look at that beautifully full Dollar Tree dinner plate? I think that looks so cute. It's still very yellow. I tried to incorporate some fun colors, but everything still looks kind of yellow. I am super proud of this spread. I think it looks amazing. I think it's probably one of my best holiday dinners to date. What should we start with first? I really want to try these biscuits. I have to. So let's start with those. Freshly baked cheddar garlic biscuit. Those are superb. By far, one of the best things that Dollar Tree has stocked in a very long time. When I was thinking of my Easter dinner for this year, I knew hands down that I wanted to include these biscuits because you guys always love a nice fresh bread with your holiday dinners. And that wasn't something I was able to include with a Thanksgiving dinner because we had stuffing in the casserole itself. And then we did the fried mac and cheese balls and the apple cookie bars. But as soon as I knew Easter was around the corner, when I saw these, I was like, oh, please let them be in stock when Easter comes around. So good. Let's try these scalloped potatoes. Again, this is Idahoan brand. We simmered them on the stovetop, and then we finished them off in the oven. They're gonna be quite toasty. That is the secret, y'all, to these potatoes. These are perfectly tender. They're not overcooked. They're not gummy or mushy. I always find that they underestimate the baking time on the box anyways, and I've always ended up having to bake them for about twice as long as they suggest. So I actually think that it's faster to do it this way, and the result is superior. Next up. Deluxe mac and cheese. I don't anticipate that this is going to be the showstopper. It's really just a belly filler. That one's like a wild card, I guess you could say. Is it the best mac and cheese? No, but it's $1.25, so I think it's a decent mac and cheese. And again, it's a wild card. Feel free to swap it out for whatever your family prefers around the holidays. We did have to experiment a little bit with this green bean casserole because we couldn't get fried onions. So we did a crunchy panko topping. We're going to see how that turned out. So far, the green bean casserole is actually my least favorite part of the meal, not for any reason other than the fact that the panko topping just doesn't really quite hit the same as the fried onions, but it is a really good swap if fried onions are unavailable or too expensive. But I feel like that's really easy to compensate for, either by adding maybe some caramelized onions into the green bean base itself, even a little bit of onion powder or some dehydrated onions, whatever you have available. We made a pineapple glaze for the ham mixed with margarine, and then I baked it in the oven covered in aluminum foil. So essentially I kind of steamed it because I didn't want it to get too crispy. Sometimes deli ham, when it gets crispy, is kind of hard to chew. And as much as I liked the ham roses, that was always my caveat with them, was that sometimes they were just kind of hard to bite into. But I steamed it this time, so we shouldn't have that issue. It kind of tastes like Hawaiian pizza without like the pizza aspect of it, just like the ham and pineapple topping. I honestly don't know how much of a difference the little pineapple glaze made in the final product. I want to believe that it did something, but I'm not sure that it did. So I guess if you wanted to skip that step, you totally could. I was just trying to be creative with the ingredients I had available to me. But beyond maybe some degree of moisture, I don't really think it really added to the flavor of anything, because I can't distinctly taste it. Smoked ham was a good call though. I really like the combination of the smoked ham with the pineapple. I think the honey ham would have worked just as well. It just would have been a little sweeter. And of course, we cannot forget about our dessert, our cherry pie cookie bars. I do know that these are a little underbaked, probably because I baked them in a smaller dish than I usually do. So they should have baked a little bit longer, but there's nothing wrong with a little underbaked cookie, you know what I'm saying? But there we go. So cookie base with some cherry pie filling. Ooey gooey deliciousness. Ideally, this would be handheld, but again, mine's a little underdone, but that's fine. And this is something I have made in the past, so I already know that this is good. It's actually quite delicious. I feel like the fact that it's underdone makes it better. A little bit of that slightly underbaked cookie dough vibe. If I wasn't already sold before the dessert, I'm sold after the dessert. This is my best Easter dinner that I've ever made. That was very successful, very productive. Let's see, if I had to rank things, because I think that's fun. I usually try to talk about what I would have done differently, but I don't see anything I could have done differently. I would have liked to have onions for the green bean casserole, but they didn't have any. So I think what I did was a great substitute. Everything that I made turned out exactly as I envisioned it. The meal is wholesome. It is fairly traditional. I think it really ticks all of the boxes of everything, all encompassing. The dessert's probably the best part of it, followed by like maybe the biscuits and the scalloped potatoes as like a tie. Then we've got the ham stuffed pineapple thingies, probably the mac and cheese after that, and then green bean casserole last. But these are kind of very arbitrary. Like the green bean casserole and the mac and cheese are interchangeable. It's just one of those, if I had to put something in last place, that's what would go there. So it really is just discretion, I guess you could say. And the best part about this, again, this was $19.25. We still have panko breadcrumbs. We still have milk. And, oh, there it is, the fun margarine. I was just looking for that. Still have a little bit of margarine. And some pineapple. So we made a dinner for 4 people for 20 bucks. And we didn't even use everything that we bought. So I think that's a win. You guys will have to let me know in the comments down below how you felt about my Dollar Tree Easter dinner this year. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will see you again soon.